Hey babe, if you're strength training, working hard in the gym, and still feeling exhausted, puffy, inflamed, or like your body is just not changing the way that you would expect for all of the effort that you're putting in, this video is for you. A lot of women are working out, trying to reach a goal, but eating in a way that completely fights against it. So today I'm going to walk you through A to Z of how to eat for strength training to get that fit, toned, defined body and feel your absolute best, strongest, your fittest, all year long. We're going to talk about why undereating backfires, why carbs are essential, and what happens when they're too low, what your macros should actually look like for strength training, and what types of foods you should be eating. And the internet really loves to muddy the water, demonize our diet, fearmonger food, and make fitness feel overly complicated. So we're going to simplify today. First, I want to separate two things that the internet constantly blends together: weight loss and body composition. Weight loss is just simply the number on the scale going down, but your body composition, that's the ratio of muscle to fat on your frame. And those are not the same goal. It's so easy to get fixated on the scale, but hear me out. You can lose 10 pounds and look worse. You can maintain your weight and look leaner. And you can even gain weight and look more defined. Why? Because muscle is dense. It changes the shape of your body, and it's what creates the look that women describe as toned. When women say that they want to tone, what that means is that one, they want to lose a little bit of body fat, and two, build a little bit of muscle so that way they look tighter, leaner, and more defined. And that is a body composition goal, not just a weight loss goal. And this matters because if your goal is body composition, your training has to be oriented around building muscle, and your nutrition has to support muscle growth and also fat loss. It's not as easy as just weight loss or eating healthy. And a lot of us women have dieted before, maybe multiple times, maybe for years, and probably didn't have the best experience with it. You lose some weight, feel restricted, frustrated, gain it back, and eventually you find yourself spiraling through those thoughts of, maybe this is just it. Maybe I'm just meant to look this way. Maybe it's my genetics, a slow metabolism, maybe it's my age. And there absolutely are factors that can make it a little bit harder. Stress can make things harder. Hormones can make things harder. Being busy, tired, and chronically sleep deprived can make things harder, but that is not the same thing as impossible. As a girly with Hashimoto's, I know firsthand that it can feel really easy to assume that your body is broken and that results are just off the table for you, but they're not. If I can get stage lean with Hashimoto's, which literally slows my metabolism down, you can too. I'm not special, you're not special. Literally, anyone can do it with the right plan and follow through. You may need more strategy, but you're not doomed. For 99% of women who are struggling to see results, the issue isn't that their body can't change, it's that they're training and eating in a way that can't reach their goals. So the very first step is that you need to align your strategy and your plan with your goals. Because this really is one of the biggest problems that I see with women who aren't seeing the results that they want and feel stuck and frustrated. It's just that they're listening to those limiting beliefs. They're just trying to sweat, burn calories, and eating to shrink, but that keeps them stuck. And those two things do not get you to your goals. Eating tiny little meals, skipping carbs, being scared of calories, and wondering why you're feeling awful, why you're always tired, why you feel puffy, inflamed, why you're working out so hard but not seeing the payoff because your plan is keeping you stuck. This is such an important lesson to learn. Your workout is the signal, but recovery is where growth actually happens. When you lift weights, you're not literally building muscle in that exact moment. You're creating the stimulus for your body to adapt, which is basically just a message you're sending to your body. You're challenging the muscle, you're creating tension, you're essentially telling your body, hey, this demand is way more than we're used to. We need to adapt, grow, get stronger and bigger. That adaptation process happens after. It happens when you recover, when you sleep, when you eat, when you hydrate. It happens when your body has the raw materials it needs to build and improve. So if you're someone who thinks that the workouts are the whole story, it's not. Just eating healthy and half-assing it in the kitchen won't cut it. The workout is the blueprint, but recovery is where the construction crew actually gets to work. And this is where so many women accidentally block their own progress. Because even if they're training hard enough to ask their body to change, they're not fueling it properly to actually support that change. So step number 2 is that you need to reframe your perspective around nutrition. For a goal of building muscle, carbs are usually that missing piece. Protein is the building block for muscle tissue, so it's definitely needed, but carbohydrates are your body's preferred fuel source for moderate to high intensity training, including strength training. After you eat, carbs get broken down and stored in your muscles and liver as glycogen, which is basically just stored energy. And when you go into that hard lifting session, especially something like a heavy leg day, glutes, compounds, or higher volume work, your body leans very heavily on that glycogen to fuel your lifts. That means if you're trying to train hard, push close to failure, and progressively overload across time, your body needs carbs. When your carbs are too low, your performance drops, you feel weaker, you gas out faster, you struggle to push hard enough to create a strong training stimulus, and you recover worse in between your workouts, which over time makes your results stall. So sure, you might be working out, but there is a difference between just surviving a workout and actually performing in a way that builds muscle. And carbs are the gas in the tank that help you perform. If you're trying to build muscle and get leaner while eating as little as possible, on paper, that might feel like discipline, but in reality, it's usually just chronic underfueling, which leaves you waking up tired, you feel brain fog, your mood is crap. Your cravings are through the roof later in the day, you start prowling the pantry like a raccoon at 9 p.m., and then you think you have a willpower issue. But a lot of the time, it's not a willpower issue. It's an underfueled body asking for energy. And that soft, puffy feeling a lot of women describe, very often under eating are a huge cause of it because full, healthy muscle has glycogen in it. And glycogen helps your muscles look fuller, aka your butt look bigger. The irony is women cut out carbs so they can lose weight, and they've been told online from social media that carbs are making them fat and look worse. But in reality, in many cases, eating the right type of carbs would actually help them look and perform much better. Diet culture basically said, let's remove the fuel from the vehicle and then blame the car when it doesn't move. It's absolutely criminal. So step number 3 is that you need to commit to trusting the slow and steady process of building muscle and taking dedicated seasons to do so. Because if you're lifting 3, 4, 5 days a week, your body has demands. And your nutrition needs to reflect those demands. This does not mean that you have to eat like a linebacker, but it does mean that you need to stop pretending that your body does not need fuel. This is one of the biggest differences between just losing weight and actually improving your physique. Because anyone can white knuckle their way into a smaller, skinnier body, but building a body that looks strong, athletic, defined, and with a routine that you actually enjoy and feel strong and empowered in, that requires food to fuel and support muscle. A lot of women are shocked when they realize that eating more actually helps them look better. For example, one of my clients here, the first 2 months of her program, we increased her calories from 1,700 calories a day as a 5'10" girly all the way up to 2,500 calories a day with 2 free meals. She lost 5 pounds in the process and looks so much tighter and leaner. And she's able to fit into jeans that she hasn't been able to wear in years. When you fuel your body properly, you feel more energized in the gym, you have better training sessions, you recover better, you have fewer cravings, you get more muscle retention and a better body composition over time. So then the question always is, well, what do I eat? I don't want to eat more and get fat. Your nutrition needs are individual. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I have some secret macro fix and it'll get you exactly to your goals. Just do this one thing, because I don't. It doesn't exist. Your nutritional needs depends on your body size, your activity level, your training volume, goals, diet histories, metabolism, personal preference, and so much more. And that number, honestly, is always in flux. It's always constantly changing because our body is a system that adapts and our life is always adapting. The macros that worked for Jasmine won't work for you, and the macros that work for Caroline won't work for you, and the macros that worked for me 2 years ago don't work for me now. The nutrition plan that you start with will not always work for you, and it will plateau sooner rather than later. But generally speaking, there are some strategies that work, so get out your notebook because here's the framework. Protein. You want enough protein to support your muscle repair and growth. A good general range for most women for strength training is anywhere between 0.7 to 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight per day. But if you have a higher amount of body fat, then I do recommend that you go get a DEXA scan and base your protein goal off of your lean muscle mass. Those numbers usually cover your bases pretty well. And I would spread that across the entire day instead of just trying to cram all your protein into one meal and then feel like you're drowning yourself in chicken breast, because we've all been there and we know that it totally sucks. You want to try to get your protein in across like 3 to 4 meals throughout the entire day. For your dietary fats, it really does matter to get that into balance. Most people in the standard American diet tend to overeat their dietary fats, and they're also not eating the right types of fats. Dietary fats are so important for our hormones, our cell health, our brain, and just overall function and health. But it usually should not be so high that it crowds out your carbs. And this is such an important point because so many women have been taught to fear carbs, cut out carbs, or treat carbs like they're some dangerous food group that automatically ruins progress and makes them fat. But if you're lifting weights and asking your body to build muscle, carbs are part of the solution. Carbs are directly tied to how much output you can give in the gym, how strong you feel, how many reps you get out, how stable your energy is, how hard you can push before your fatigue gets in, and how well you recover so you can come back and do it all again. The exact amount of carbs you need is going to vary so much based on your body size, your activity level, training volume, your goals, whether you're in a fat loss phase, a maintenance phase, a muscle gain phase. So I can't tell you an exact number to aim for. But if you're decently lean and eating less than a gram per pound of body weight in carbs, you definitely need to get that up. Carbs should not be the tiny leftover macro that just gets crumbs. A practical general setup looks kind of like this. Protein is set first. Fat is then set at a moderate level around 0.4 grams per pound of body weight, plus or minus depending on the individual. And then the rest of your calories should go largely towards carbs, especially if performance, building muscle, and body composition are your goals. And eating more carbs does not need to mean some huge dramatic overhaul overnight. Sometimes it's as simple as adding in one more whole food, like a real carb source around your training. Maybe that's having some fruit before lift instead of having to train on caffeine and coffee, or maybe it's having some potatoes with your dinner after your workout. If your carbs are currently really low, a good place to start is simply adding in just one more carb serving to 1 or 2 meals a day, especially around your workout, and just pay attention to what changes. Does your energy improve? Do your lifts feel stronger? Do you recover better? Are your cravings less chaotic in the day? Because a lot of the time, your body gives you the answer pretty quickly. And then the goal is week by week to increase your carbs and get them as high as possible while still seeing progress towards your goals, whether that's weight loss, maintenance, or weight gain. Obviously, if it's a fat loss goal, your carbs are still going to be low, but it's still a goal to get those carbs as high as possible while still having sufficient protein and fats and leaning out. Like I said, there's really no magic number. It's an educated guess. Then from there, you see how your body responds. Then you continue to adjust based on how your body responds. That's why you can follow an influencer's exact training split and their macro plan or meal plan and still see negative results even if it worked for them, because it was built for her body and her unique goals, not yours. So the big picture is this. Protein supports the building, carbs support the performance, and fats support your health and your hormones. All three matter, but if you are strength training and you want to perform well, recover well, and actually build shape, carbs should not be treated like an optional extra or a villain. They are a foundational part of eating for strength training. So step number 4 is getting on a nutrition plan that gives you structure with your nutrition and then adjusting based on how your body responds. Like I said, I wish I could give you a magic pill, a magic fix, but I can't. So here are some signs that you're probably not eating enough for strength training. Your lifts are not improving. You're constantly sore. You feel dead inside when you're walking into your workouts. you crash in the afternoon, you think about food all day and have a lot of food noise, your sleep is not great, you're struggling with a lot of anxiety, you get frequent headaches, your cycle becomes irregular, or maybe you've even lost your period. These are not gold stars for discipline. These are red flags and a sign from your body that you need a little TLC. Now, the quantity of your macros is important, but quality is too. And I'm not saying that you have to eat boring ass dry chicken, broccoli, and sadness and live like a bodybuilder to see progress. But what you do want is a solid base of nutrient-dense foods that support performance and recovery. The typical 80-20 split is a great frame to take, where 80% of your foods are whole foods that are minimally processed, like our lean meats, fruits, our veggies, our potatoes that fuel our body. And the other 20% can be the hearty, calorie-dense foods that feed our soul. I like to have my own personal pizza every single week, and I love my Starbucks on the weekend mornings. And the rest of my food is really healthy, but I definitely do let myself enjoy food out with friends and on date nights, and that's how I keep it sustainable. So for these healthy 80% of the time foods, you want to have your grocery list with lean protein sources like white meats, think chicken breast, turkey, white fish, shrimp, scallops, lean beef, like the 90-10 version, not 80-20, eggs and egg whites, unsweetened Greek yogurt, low-fat cottage cheese, protein powder, and for the plant-based girlies, you got tofu, tempeh, soy protein isolate, and seafood if you eat it. For your carb sources, you have fruit, which is a great source of fiber and awesome for regulating our blood sugars, like berries, apples, kiwis, pears. You've also got foods like our rice, potatoes, oats, quinoa, beans, the very minimally processed carbs. Those are the goal. Like fruit is really super for our goals of building muscle and staying lean. We can have breads and pastas and things like that. We just want to kind of try and keep that to a smaller portion. For your fat sources, you've got avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, nut butters, egg yolks, fatty fish, and your salad dressings. So a very easy formula for your main healthy 80% meals is this: 1 to 2 lean protein, a low processed carbohydrate, veggies with color or fiber, and a small serving of fat. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, Kaylee, cute speech, but I still want to lose body fat. I know. You can absolutely pursue fat loss and still eat carbs. In fact, most women trying to lose fat while strength training do better when carbs are included. Remind you of her. She lost 5 pounds eating more food. Because the goal in a fat loss phase is not just to make the scale move. The goal is to lose fat while maintaining as much muscle as possible. And to do that, you still need enough protein, high training quality, and enough recovery and support. So even in a fat loss phase, carbs still matter. You may have less total food than maintenance, sure, but that doesn't mean that carbs should just disappear. Because if you cut calories and carbs too aggressively, your training quality tanks, your adherence gets harder, cravings rise, and the whole thing becomes one giant mess in a sports bra. And you go into that negative cycle of feeling like you have to diet, hating it, not seeing progress, crashing out without making any progress, then feeling upset about not seeing any progress, and restarting the whole issue only to repeat itself. Fat loss should not feel like a punishment, and it definitely should not come at the expense of hating fitness and no longer enjoying the gym. Fitness should be fun, and it should elevate our life and build the strongest, most confident, most empowered version of ourselves. So to wrap all of that up, the toned look is not created by eating tiny portions and doing random workouts. It's created by having enough muscle to actually show and a low enough body fat level where that muscle can actually be seen. And that obviously requires muscle, and muscle requires fuel. You need to feed the body you're trying to build. And if you're not eating enough, especially those carbs, there's a really good chance that you're making your progress harder than it needs to be. When your training, your nutrition, and your recovery are all aligned, progress really stops feeling like a fight. It becomes a process. It's still work, but progress starts to flow. And now if you want that one-to-one guidance where we remove the guesswork, customize your plan, review it weekly, align your training and nutrition with your real life, and get you eating more than ever while seeing amazing results just like this, click the link in the description for more info on one-to-one coaching. If this video helps simplify things for you, I would really love to hear from you. Leave a comment and like this video so you'll see more content just like this. That's all for today, girlies. Let's go get in the gym and build our strongest, most confident body this week.